This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. Relatives of people killed in last week's crash near Carberry are taking a tragedy and turning it into a moment of kindness. The wave of generosity comes after the community came together to grieve. CBC's Brittany Greenslade has more.
Funerals have started to get underway today for the 16 people who lost their lives in the Carberry crash last week. We're learning this morning that some of the families of the victims have donated their clothing and leftover food to the city's food bank, saying it's a way for them to continue to give back to the community. Last night, hundreds of people from the community came out to pay their respects. Cars lined every open space around the auditorium. Inside, every seat was taken and there was standing room only. There was lots of tears and hugs as people came to collectively grieve the 16 lives lost. Prayers were given by the city's different faith leaders. There was also a steady stream of first responders in attendance, many who themselves were on scene the day of the crash. As we've heard, the healing is just beginning, and for many, it will come in different ways over the coming weeks and months. For some, the reality and the magnitude of the loss still hasn't hit. And there's the reminder, there are still others in hospital. Now, the mayor says so many people have reached out asking how they can support this community. It's led them to start a foundation, Support Our Seniors, and it's a way where people can donate whatever they want, however much they feel is appropriate, and that money will later be used to help those in the community. Brittany Greenslade, CBC News in Dauphin.
It's a day supporters and opponents of a controversial silica sand mining operation have been waiting for, the day they'd learn the ruling of the Clean Environment Commission. But as CBC's Ian Fraze reports, the saga in southeastern Manitoba isn't over yet.
The Clean Environment Commission isn't convinced that mining for this will not harm that. The concern is giving the Environment Minister pause.
The safety of Manitobans' drinking water comes first.
But this doesn't mean the proposed silica sand mining operation has slipped away. The Commission recommends the project could go ahead so long as the province puts in conditions, like more legal advice and a better understanding of possible risks to drinking water.
This is a contentious issue, and it's contentious because of safety.
Alberta company CO Silica plans to drill wells punching through clay, gravel, limestone, and shale. The company would pump air down into the pipe and then suck the sand up to the surface. Critics fear all these wells, more than 7,000, could degrade the quality of water below the surface east and southeast of Winnipeg. CO Silica says it's committed to all the extra research and data the Commission recommends.
They then go and they
But Tangi Bell is part of a vocal group who says this project isn't salvageable. She wanted the Environment Commission to say that.
They didn't strongly recommend to deny, prohibit this project. And that's what it should be doing.
Opponents worry punctures in the ground could cause waters between the two aquifers to mix.
The concerns of the people on the ground and in communities have been validated by this to say, look, we don't know that you can do this safely. And if we can't do it safely, we shouldn't be doing it.
The Environment Minister has the final say. He says reviewing this report and determining the fate of the proposed mining operation behind me will take as long as it needs to. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Vivian.
A 17-year-old boy has died after being stabbed multiple times. It happened after a concert last Saturday in downtown Winnipeg. Police say 2 teenagers have now been charged in connection with his death. They say the 17-year-old was assaulted when he intervened in a fight on Graham Avenue and Fort Street. He was taken to hospital in critical condition and died Wednesday. A 14-year-old boy is charged with second-degree murder and a 15-year-old girl with assault with a weapon. A redeveloped plastic surgery clinic at the Health Sciences Centre is being called the first of its kind in Canada. The HSC Foundation funded the $1.8 million project. The clinic will have an advanced plastic surgery operating room along with 10 procedure rooms. The director of surgery says it'll give cancer and trauma patients a place for faster treatment with dignity while also being more efficient.
It allows me to do them here with less staff, and we all know we don't have enough staff right now to deliver the care we want. And it frees up the main operating room, all of the equipment, all of the space, all of the people to deal with the cases that are absolutely needing to be done in that operating room. I'm not delaying my big cases, and I'm not delaying the small cases.
Buchel says faster care means people can recover more quickly and have a better quality of life. Well, starting next season, NHL teams won't be allowed to wear special jerseys during the warm-up skate on theme nights like Pride. CBC's Stephanie Cram explains what this means for the Winnipeg Jets and their fans.
For 5 seasons, the Winnipeg Jets have held a Pride Night. Some 2S LGBTQ hockey fans say seeing players wearing Pride jerseys on the ice makes them feel welcomed.
It sends a message that queer people are allowed in this space and feel that they can flourish in the sport.
Starting next season, the NHL won't allow teams to wear special jerseys during warm-up on theme nights. For David Palumbo from You Can Play, a nonprofit organization that seeks to ban homophobia from sport, those jerseys send a powerful message.
That moment for them to see a Pride jersey in all of its forms that we've seen over the years is a really impactful statement.
This comes after an escalating pushback from a handful of players in the league refusing to wear Pride jerseys. The Board of Governors agreed the controversy overshadowed the intention of the events.
95+% of the players this past year who proudly donned the Pride jersey, recognizing what that statement was and making a statement of support for the community. And now they're not going to have that chance to do so.
The ban extends to other causes like Hockey Fights Cancer and military nights. Teams can still support these causes by selling merchandise. It remains unclear if the ban will impact the Winnipeg Jets' Heritage Nights. The chilling effect of the league's move, some fans not feeling welcomed.
If you are a kid that's struggling, you want to be what you can see. You want to know that there's others there that are supporting you and to say you matter and you belong here.
Ashley Smith of Rainbow Resource Centre says he spoke with True North and the team will continue to support the nonprofit.
I know that they stand with 2S LGBTQ+ people, as most Canadians do support queer and gender diversity and rights. So I know that they will continue to support us.
True North says the Winnipeg Jets will abide by the direction of the league, but the team will continue to honor, celebrate, and support multiple communities in the upcoming season. Stephanie Cram, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The Manitoba Métis Federation now controls the provincial money used to help Métis entrepreneurs. Before today, the multi-million-dollar fund was managed by the MMF and the province. Now it'll be managed entirely by an MMF affiliate. The Federation's housing minister says it's another step in self-determination for the Métis Nation.
We were born and built on entrepreneurship. The fur trade, the buffalo hunt, the Pemmican Wars, all of these caused a unique, distinct Indigenous nation to arise here in Western Canada, here beside the Red River.
The Entrepreneurship Fund has been used to create more than 1,000 jobs and has put millions of dollars into Métis-owned businesses. Well, CBC weather specialist Riley Lachuk joins us now. A pretty nice day today.
You know, a little bit cloudy downtown right now, but, you know, overall it was a pleasant day, not the, 36s that we saw last week. That's a bit too hot. I'm more the 24, 25 degrees, which is what we got to today, but we do have a little bit of rain on our doorstep. We can show you that on satellite radar right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a few sprinkles in the city of Winnipeg, in the southern parts of the city over the next few hours. We have this low pressure system here skirting along the northern states, and this is will bring quite a bit of rain into northwestern Ontario. I'll show you that in just a moment, but as you can see, we are seeing a few scattered showers along the Red River Valley, even onto the southern edge of the city of Winnipeg, so we'll keep our eye on that. As we get into the evening, though, expect things to clear out a little bit. We'll be mainly clear into the night tonight. Tomorrow morning starting with just a few clouds, otherwise mainly sunny sky to start the day tomorrow, and as we get into the later part of Saturday into Sunday, there's another risk we could see maybe a non-severe thunderstorm or some scattered showers late into the afternoon. The main event, though, off into northwestern Ontario, and that really will will bring a significant amount of rain to areas like Fort Frances and Dryden as we head into Sunday and even into Monday. So we'll keep our eye on that. Could see some scattered showers otherwise in western Manitoba overnight Sunday and into the early part of Monday morning. So looking at accumulations, really for much of Manitoba, not much to talk about aside from the extreme southeastern corner of the province. Piney, Sprague could pick up some rain from the system, but as you can see out into northwestern Ontario, this is where all of this rain is kind of centered here, upwards of 30, even 40 millimeters of rain in parts of northwestern Ontario from this system. 23 degrees, mainly cloudy in Winnipeg at the moment. The pressure is falling. We have seen some sunny breaks. I think we'll see a little bit of clearing as we get into the evening tonight. Down to 14 degrees overnight with a light wind, which is always nice. A bit of a breeze in the morning would be nice too. 18 degrees with increasing clouds, and expect a bit of a cloudy afternoon, but some sunny breaks and a high of 26 degrees, a bit on the breezy side as well. Looking at your forecast across the province tomorrow, high 20s, a fairly pleasant day on the way for much of the province. Even for Churchill, 24 degrees tomorrow afternoon, 28s in Flin Flon and the Pas under a mainly sunny sky. And really that's the same for the southwest as well. 25, 26 degrees for Brandon and Dauphin. There's a chance of a shower in Morden Winkler. I have the rain icon in there, but I think it's a fairly slim chance of a shower along the international border. The southeast looking like it's much the same as well. Chance of showers along the border, but otherwise a mainly cloudy sky with some sunny breaks in the afternoon, 25, 26 degrees. And northwestern Ontario, this is where we're getting the rain. For Kenora, Dryden, Fort Frances, temperatures a bit on the cool side as well, and could see some sprinkles in the Red Lake region as well at 25 degrees. We have a bit of an unsettled pattern coming our way, Emily, and I'll have more on that coming up later in the show.
The magnitude of the tragedy off the coast of Greece is becoming clearer. Coming up, the story of the migrant ship that sank just over a week ago and how many of those who died were from Pakistan. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. Pakistan says it'll take measures to crack down on human trafficking after a migrant boat sank off the coast of Greece earlier this month. The government says at least 350 Pakistani citizens were among the dead. CBC's Chris Brown reports.
More than a week after the Greece migrant boat disaster, the enormity of the loss for Pakistan is becoming clear. 28 men from this single village in Kashmir are now thought to have been on board. Only 2 were rescued. In house after house, there are mourners. This man's son and 4 nephews are missing. His son sent him videos of everyone crammed together on the floor before boarding. They were charged as much as $8,000 US each for the trip. He pledged his house as a guarantee, said this relative of one of the missing. I've been living in it with my 2 toddlers. Families want Pakistan's government to cover those debts. Wahid Wazir's younger brother Imran is presumed drowned. I request the government pay us back. What happened to our brother shouldn't happen to anyone else. Authorities believe there were at least 350 Pakistanis on board the derelict fishing vessel when it sank.
281 families.
Pakistan's Interior Minister told Parliament 281 families have contacted the government, fearing relatives were on board. Many of them have gone to hospitals to give DNA samples to try to identify the dead, clutching photos of those they've lost. In Pakistan, inflation is raging and jobs are scarce, which is pushing people to make terrible choices, says Mohammed Sawar Bhatti, who lost his brother Hamid on the boat. There was a time when my brother would provide anything his children asked for, but for the past 3 years, things have gone downhill. Families here fear human smuggling is bound to increase, along with the desperation. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
The U.S. Coast Guard says it'll lead a full investigation into the catastrophic implosion of the Titan. The submersible disintegrated, killing all 5 on board. It happened earlier this week during a dive to the wreck of the Titanic. A handful of ships off the coast of Newfoundland are still searching for clues. And as we hear from CBC's Travis Danraj, there are many theories on what happened.
Well, this rescue operation has now turned into a recovery mission, and we know that a lot of the military assets that were out searching for Titan over the past several days are now returning to their home ports and to also their bases as well. So certainly there are questions right now in terms of this investigation and where it goes next. There are also questions about the timeline here in terms of when this catastrophic event on Titan occurred. There have been a number of theories in terms of what may have possibly happened. Here's one explorer that was on the first mission to dive down to see the wreckage of the Titanic.
The descent is the most dangerous part for a submersible, constantly increasing the pressure on the hull. And so that's when things are going to fail. If you make it to your dive, you know, the maximum depth that you're going to go to, you're generally okay at that point. You can conduct the rest of the dive with no problem.
James Cameron, the famous Canadian director that directed the famous film Titanic, also has a theory.
The only way for the ship to know that they had dropped their ascent weights, which would be an emergency abort, is if they had called that in, that they were ascending. So I believe now that they had some warning, that they heard some acoustic signature of the hull beginning to delaminate. I actually believe they heard it with their ears, not through the sensor system, in the last moments of their lives, and that's quite a horrifying prospect.
Now, that part of a wide-ranging interview that Cameron did with Anderson Cooper of CNN, and I had a chance to speak to Anderson Cooper.
So I think there's going to be increasing questions about whether it was right for this company to bring passengers aboard an experimental craft that had not gone through maritime safety protocols that many in the industry was urging this company to put this craft through.
And in terms of whether or not bodies will be recovered, that is not likely to happen. Some families are questioning whether or not OceanGate, the company that owned Titan, alerted officials early enough that something had gone wrong. So a lot of questions, as I say, remain, and this investigation now into what exactly happened, repiecing the last voyage of the Titan together and actually piecing together the hull, well, that will also take place here in the coming months and years ahead. Travis Danraj, CBC News, St. John's.
Bill C-18 has received royal assent. It's supposed to help fund local news operations by making social media platforms pay for their content. But one of Canada's big broadcasters says it doesn't do enough. Bell Media has asked the CRTC for permission to slash the amount of local news programming on its CTV television network. The company wants to reduce local programming, including news, to 14 hours a week. It also wants to cut the portion of its revenues dedicated to Canadian programming from 30% down to 20%. Bell says its news operations lost $40 million last year. Bell announced last week it's cutting 1,300 jobs, shutting down 6 radio stations, and closing 4 news bureaus. Another discount airline is now operating in Canada. Iceland-based Play Air is offering 1 flight a day between Hamilton, Ontario and Reykjavik. Passengers can then fly on to other European destinations. CBC's Philippe de Montigny has more.
Play Airlines has arrived in Canada, giving travelers another cheaper option to fly to Europe. That is, if you travel light and don't mind flying out of Hamilton, Ontario.
You basically pay for the services that you need. If you want to bring extra baggage, you pay for that. If you want to eat something on the plane, you have to pay for it.
Play now flies to 26 European destinations with a layover in Iceland. This personal finance expert says the cost savings could make the detour to Hamilton worthwhile.
Airfare has gone up significantly in price. Play comes in and offers a 25% discount compared to the mainline carriers. That could literally be a few $100s. You know, if a family of 4, you could end up saving $1,000 or even more.
The fact that I can save money when I'm booking my flights and be kind of like rewarded for the fact that I travel light is, for me, a great option.
But can those steep discounts last? In the last 2 weeks, WestJet announced it would shut down its 2 low-cost carriers, Sunwing and Swoop, merging them into its mainline business. In 2019, another Icelandic budget airline, WOW Air, abruptly ceased operations, leaving thousands of passengers without a way back home.
It was very unfortunate that they, shut down business and left a lot of people stranded. I actually had a ticket with them that I was supposed to be flying a week after those news emerged.
Play's CEO was a former WOW Air executive. He says he learned from past mistakes.
Be securely financed, have enough cash, don't grow too fast, securely choose your destinations, and so far we've been very successful, and this is the year where we will turn an operational profit.
There are lessons to be learned from WOW's failure. If you ask me, the concern is probably the frequency and the capacity they're offering after the summer peak.
The company says it plans to run flights daily year-round, knowing it'll lose money in the winter months. A gamble, it says, will help grow demand and, in the long run, feed its bottom line. Philippe de Montigny, CBC News, Toronto.
The crew of a yacht competing in an around-the-world race has had a close and frightening encounter with a small pod of orcas.
Get ready, 8-4 down.
Whoa. It happened near the Strait of Gibraltar, which connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Atlantic Ocean. 3 orcas swam straight at the Dutch sailboat, bumping the hull and nudging the rudders. The race organizers say run-ins with orcas have become more common, with significant damage to the boats at times. Still ahead, Riley Lachuk is back with the 7-day forecast. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News.
Well, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. So partly cloudy skies tonight, and then we'll start to see clouds building in through the day tomorrow. We'll see some sunny breaks, though. 26 degrees, the forecast high. A nice 29 on the way for Sunday, 27 on the way for Monday. Then we could see some more showers through the end of next week, and it's looking like we'll see a bit windy conditions on the way for next Wednesday.
Okay. Well, anyone who's struggled to help a family member find their path may find this story inspiring.
Aaron is a 29-year-old and is autistic. His mom helped him build a creative career as an entrepreneur.
Here's your daily lift.
How do we start?
Now how do we start?
Up and down or across?
Across.
Okay. We started Brick Art by Aaron in January of 2015. When Aaron finished high school, at that time the government had started cutting back on group programming for young people with autism. We didn't see a path for him through the regular work situation and decided that we would try and set up this little business to give him an idea of what responsibility was. Does Mom have to do something?
No.
We've had some that have gone to South America, New York, Europe, and we did a mosaic of this across the city of Edmonton. So that's probably the biggest one that we've done. He just lights up when he hands them over to the people because they're always thrilled with the work. I kind of do the first part of the creating. I play around with the colors and get it set up.
He's better than.
And then Aaron sits down and puts it together. Is that the right one? He likes things that are very precise, things that are all the same. So it's the perfect activity for him. This one?
Yes.
This isn't something that you can put a time limit on. Aaron is going to have autism until the day he dies. I mean, it's hard for most parents to let go of their kids, but it's really hard to let go of this guy. This is a lifelong opportunity for Aaron to continually grow.
What a great idea.
It's really cute.
Yeah. So no showers tonight for the Jazz Fest?
Should be a pretty pleasant weekend.
Okay, sounds good. That was the CBC Winnipeg News. We'll be back tonight at 11. Have a nice evening.
Night.